The Highschool Mixtape Movement. It has generated many household names online due to their dominance at the high school level. In one way or another, we have seen the same players take the clout and platform given to them and use it on their way to a successful basketball career, or in some cases, a career online. But in today's video, we need to go over some of the bigger names of that sphere and rank their careers nowadays on a tier list. Here today on the Alvini Linguine channel, we talk about things all interesting basketball with your boy Alvini Linguine. But just like the last tier list video, the things that will be considered in this video is just how big they were in high school, which will be considered and how much expectations was placed on them due to that, how they performed at the next level after high school, and finally where they are now years later since those viral high school mixtape days. But before we start, if we hit 1,000 likes on this video, I'll make a part 2 sooner or later with more viral players, as long as you comment who you want to see on that next video. Subscribe for more weekly videos, follow me on Twitter and Instagram for more channel news and updates, and follow my Twitch for weekly streams. With all that out of the way, you already know who it is. Roll it!
He incurred an injury dealing with weights in the weight room, so he stitched up in the left hand doing all this.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
For our first person, or I guess persons, we need to talk about someone who started a huge trend within the basketball community, the JellyFam group, specifically Jahvon, Quinerly, Isaiah Washington, and Reid, the three biggest people who only a few years ago popularized the layup package known as the Jelly that adds a whole new level of difficulty and style to layups everywhere. But again, the three people who are known for it are Jahvon, Quinerly, Isaiah Washington, and Reid. Now, all three of these guys have had national attention put on them for the longest time, but it only multiplied once they started to incorporate the packages within their game. In each individual case, Reid, the most successful out of the three, was the 18th best player in 2018, Jahvon Quinerly was the 28th best player in 2018, and Isaiah Washington was the 62nd best player in the class of 2018. Now, these rankings came with real merit too, for 2 out of the 3 of them, in Reid and Jahvon Quinerly, went to top schools in LSU and Villanova and making the McDonald's All-American game, while Isaiah started off his college journey at Minnesota. But for some of these guys, this is the best it gets for them. Firstly, Reid, who at LSU put up some solid numbers for the Tigers with a near double-double, unfortunately went undrafted in the 2019 draft, tried to maximize his chances of getting in using his age to his advantage, as staying in college for more years without showing immediate improvement is basically a death sentence. Was able to also snag a spot to the Minnesota Timberwolves, where he has been playing these last 3 seasons with a comfortable backup center spot. Next is Jahvon Quinerly, who has had the most hype out of the 3 of them, and who was one of the best point guards in the class, joined a Villanova Wildcats team that just won the national championship a year ago. The only problem is, which in my opinion I'm surprised he didn't consider, was the fact that he did not know that Villanova doesn't really play young players like that, while instead they just want to develop them and have them be good 4-year players for a chance at another national title. So he didn't go to a school that would prioritize him as a freshman, and considering that he got offers to Arizona, Kansas, UCLA, and many others, I was surprised that even that he didn't go to another school for that reason, because Jay Wright and Jahvon did not see eye to eye at all. In his freshman season, he only played 9 minutes a game in 25 games played, and due to that, he transferred to Alabama for more playing time, which he got. But at the age of 23 and going to his senior season at Bama, where he'll be 24, it's safe to say the NBA isn't going to be the easiest place for him to try to go into, especially considering the drop-off in stats from his sophomore to junior year last year. Lastly, we have the lowest rank out of the 3, and Isaiah Washington, who again started off his career in Minnesota for 2 years and didn't really do much. Transferred to Iona, where he put up career marks, and then transferred once again to Long Beach State and did the same. After that, he went undrafted in the 2021 draft, and as of recently, Washington has been playing overseas in Montenegro and played 9 games there. So we can at least say that he's doing things after his wild college career. With the hype that all 3 of these had when going into the college level and how they changed the game forever with the fanciness that is the Jelly layup package, it gives them a lot of points. But seeing how Isaiah and Jahvon especially didn't work out on the next level, I will have to give them a C. Definitely would be a D if it wasn't for Nas making the NBA and especially being a solid contributor for the team that he's on. But the other 2 definitely dragged this ranking down immensely. Next, we have someone whom I talked about a lot on this channel, and all I'm going to say is there's a whole playlist if you'd like to know my thoughts on him. Anyways, our next mixtape career we must look at in his high school days is Julian Newman. Julian in his earliest days was known as a prodigy, as many basketball players who have dads who train them in the sport at a very young age. But just like all of them you see online, they rarely work out professionally. But Julian is known as one of the most infamous in that category. You can look him up online and see so many highlights of him dribbling the ball with speed and craft, or shoot the ball from Curry range, and how he's been playing against high school talent before he even hit puberty. But the real reason he is known in the high school basketball space was for more negative reasons than positive, because every month was a new controversy with him. Sure, you can mention the many times he put up 30, 40, or even 50 points in the game, but what do you think sticks more online? Him going against average competition getting 30 points, or him causing fights at IMG Academy? From his dad creating his own school to be able to go against top competition in America, to playing against LaMelo Ball in high school and getting routed, and many other things. If you kept up with the Newmans, you knew the basketball thing was more of a front than the actual basketball he was playing. But if there's one thing we cannot deny, he can get buckets on the court in his time in high school, becoming the youngest player to ever put up 1,000 points at the varsity level, and also breaking the Florida Prep record for most points in a season. But again, if you'd like to know more, just check out my playlist on the channel for that topic. But anyways, I've never discussed things concerning him since his high school days, as many people still throw topics at me involving him, so I guess let's talk about it just a little bit. Since he stopped playing basketball in high school, he was exactly what I thought he'd be, an online personality. As harsh as I am when it comes to talking about him, I always believed the platform that he had and the skills to boot, he can find a way to go about a pro league to play in. But every time I see a new headline involving a new lie, to go into the NBL in Australia, to go into the NBA G League, or even signing with a summer league team, he's always very active on social media, and I'm surprised he doesn't have a YouTube channel yet with the audience he has. But as of recently, he claimed that he was going to play for Team ALS Challenge in the basketball tournament, and that is actually true as confirmed by their Twitter. So hey, better than nothing, but I'm still gonna have to put him in the F category. But hey, he's probably making a decent amount of money doing what he does, but this is a appropriate place to be considering the wildness that was his high school saga. Next on the tier list, we have a name that has totally went into obscurity since his high school days, and that name is Jaylen Hands, or how he was called in his high school days, Baby Westbrook, which was his main pull when it came to his highlights online, the athleticism that he'd show at the high school level. With millions of views all over the place and being one of the best point guards ranked in the 2017 class, he had a lot of hype behind him, which he used to go to UCLA, and this was a year after Lonzo Ball was there, leading one of the best teams in the NCAA ranks, and now he was there to take the load himself. So it just made the hype and the eyes on him even larger. Now with that being said, he spent 2 years at UCLA, each season better than the last, but it wasn't impressive enough to keep the attention on him that he had in his high school days. Especially he, just like a lot of star point guards from high school, had a terrible habit of never learning how to be a good passer, because scorers at the college level, especially for a small guard, are a dime a dozen. After his time at UCLA, he actually got drafted though with a 26th pick of the second round in the 2018 NBA draft to the Clippers before being traded to the Nets. As of now in the NBA, the best opportunity he was given was in his first year in the G League with the Long Island Nets, averaging 11 points and 3 assists a game. Since then, he has played in Serbia and Germany, but the last time we have seen him in an NBA jersey was in last year's Summer League for the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2022. When it came to the hype Jaylen had, it was absolutely immense, but this is what happens when a lot of guys get a lot of hype. The expectations only get that much larger from a social scale. Some people can use that hype to their advantages in other avenues, but this is the first example of this video of someone not being able to do that. With that being said, Jaylen will receive a D tier. He will probably have a long overseas career, but the G League is always open for him to return to if he wanted to try another shot at becoming an NBA player. Next on the tier list, we have Tacko Fall, currently one of the tallest NBA players in the league, currently at a 7'6" height, rivaling others at the tallest NBA player in history ranks. But as you can imagine, that is the main shtick for Tacko. In high school, he was known as one of the tallest people out there, and people loved watching how he would just tower over people, block shots with these, dunk with these, and among other things. Now, of course, he didn't have too much skill in the basketball ranks, playing basketball at a later age than everybody else, and in a high school sphere, sometimes you don't really need that. And it worked perfectly in Tacko's favor, recording a near triple-double in points, rebounds, and blocks. But for scouts, they can exactly see how that would work against him, ranking him as the 142nd best player and the 16th best center in the class of 2015, with many offers from schools despite that. But he went to UCF, mainly for academic reasons, but he is still one of the few people who actually kept his novelty all throughout his post-high school career. While playing all 4 years at UFC, people constantly went to go see how the 7'6" giant was doing, because let's be real, he's a pretty hard person not to notice or remember. I mean, again, he is 7'6", and the resurgence of his hype came back when he had his matchup against top-ranked Duke in the 2019 NCAA tournament, where he put up 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 blocks in the loss against them. But since then, he has still been relevant as ever, getting a two-way deal with the Celtics and Cavaliers, while right now playing on the Utah Jazz Summer League team, while also might being able to get a spot there due to Rudy Gobert being traded. Due to the way he's been able to stay relevant and find himself in the NBA due to the relevancy and novelty, I think it's safe to say that he has to get an A ranking on this tier list, because unless he chooses not to, he will forever be a part of the NBA roster in some capacity, like a Boban Marjanovic, and that alone makes him a multi-millionaire and will bring him way longer as a high school mixtape product than most people who will get the same opportunity. The next person we're going to talk about on this tier list, we have cousin of Riff Raff and high school scoring phenom, Mac McClung. Mac was certainly a must-see player in his senior year of high school, with his electrifying dunks, scoring prowess, and how he was doing all this as a 6'1" guard. In his time in high school, he will forever be remembered due to breaking Allen Iverson's statewide scoring record, and in the same way following AI's footsteps as he went to Georgetown for college playing under Patrick Ewing, while receiving offers from Rutgers, Boston College, and even Murray State, where he could have played alongside John Morant, fun fact. And the same cameras that was on him in his high school career would follow him to college, as the main question was if Mac McClung's game would be able to translate at the college level. And the answer to that was not entirely, because in his first year at Georgetown, where he would start every single game, he averaged 13 points a game, but on bad efficiency on all 3 levels. He then transferred to Texas Tech, where things got better, but not good enough to get drafted in the 2021 NBA draft. Again, at the college ranks, scoring guards are a dime a dozen, and very often to come by. But at the same time, there are the ones who can score with the best of them, and most importantly, efficiently. And then there are also the people we'll be talking about today, like Mac McClung, who weren't able to get the numbers nor the efficiency that would put them in the NBA draft. But even with that demerit that people predicted would keep him down at the college ranks, Mac was able to snag a training camp spot with the Lakers and play for their G League team and the actual team on a few occasions. And honestly, it's great to see how he's developing in the G League. People talked about his small frame and lacking efficiency in college, and how he would have to learn to be a good distributor if he wanted to last in the league. And in his first G League season, he did exactly that, averaging a near team best 21 points a game and averaging 7 assists a game, and being the G League's Rookie of the Year. So it's safe to say that he will eventually be getting a spot somewhere in the league with the right agent and a little bit of luck. So I will give him an A for how he turned an unlikely situation into a good one and a potential career in the NBA. Next in this video, we have someone whose age has still probably not been confirmed yet, and lottery pick of the 2016 NBA draft, Thon Maker. Now, he is one of the older people we'll be talking about today, but I'm sure everybody knows what he is known for, because in his high school days in Canada, he was taking over the high school scene, being a 7-footer with guard skills. And he's doing this at a time when that archetype in the high school scene was not as common as it may be today. And with his 10th spot nationally as one of the best players in the 2016 high school class, it made sense why there was so much hype there, especially with all the footage you can find of him making current NBA players look stupid in high school with his repertoire of moves. But when he got drafted in the 2016 draft with the 10th pick to the Milwaukee Bucks, that was probably the pinnacle of his career so far, as the rest of his career will be full of uncertainty, inconsistency, and most importantly, disappointment from the eyes of his supporters, especially when you get videos like this made about you. Sorry, Mike Kozemba, but I had to throw that little dig at you. But as you can see, the hype was definitely there, being drafted a year after Kristaps Porzingis was drafted, where he already took the league by storm with a similar game to his. So you can understand why people put that same pressure and comparison onto him. But again, things never worked out in the league. In his 5-year NBA career on 3 separate teams, he couldn't get anything going enough to where he got dropped by the Cavaliers only 2 years ago. But since then, he's been looking to remodel his game and try to make his way back into the NBA. And at 25 years old, at least presumably, it isn't too late for him to try and get an NBA comeback. This year with the Long Island Nets in the NBA G League, he still looks awfully raw in 20 minutes played per game, but let's see what he can pull off in the next couple of years. But on this tier list, he's one of the few people who is actually able to make it in the NBA. However, the road back will definitely be hard. And even though he is one of the only lottery picks in this list, I'm going to have to give him a C, because he wasn't able to put it all together in what looks like it may be a perennial G League player for years to come. Next on this video, we have someone who once again had a lot of eyes on him due to his story and dazzling play at the high school level. Nico Mannion, the #1 point guard in the high school class of 2019, McDonald's All-American and receiver of college offers to blue blood schools in Duke and Kansas. This is what I like to call the trifecta of a high school basketball career, being one of the top players in your class or position, being McDonald's All-American, and getting those top tier offers. Now, Nico again was known as one of the best point guards in his time in high school, while also playing one of the top high school football recruits at the same time in Spencer Rattler. So you can only imagine the amount of eyes that was on them on the basketball court and with viral views at the same time. But with that hype, he was basically able to handpick whatever school in the country he wanted to go to, and with that power, he went to Arizona and was the second leading scorer there. However, just like many smaller point guards of his stature, his stats didn't really help him when it came to getting to the next level with a stat line of 14 points and 5 assists a game. However, while shooting 39% from the field and 32% from three, showing little potential for the next level. And you know that stings a little bit more when you're regarded as the best point guard in your high school class. However, even with the iffy season he had at Arizona, he was still drafted to one of the best player franchises in the NBA in the Golden State Warriors, who are known to really develop players, as we've seen with Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Stephen Curry. Plus, he had connections to Stephen Curry as he won MVP at one of his camps one year, so you never know if he pulled a little bit of strings to get him in. I'm not making that assumption, I'm just putting it out there. But anyways, as he was converted to being a two-way player after he was drafted, he only lasted one season with the Warriors and played 30 games in the NBA. And when he left the Warriors, he unfortunately caught a terrible intestinal infection that ate away a lot of his strength and made him lose a lot of weight that kept him away from playing basketball for a bit. But now in 2022, in the top league in Italy, he is back to playing pro basketball. When it comes to his ranking though, as being one of the top ranked players in his class and not living up to expectations though, I will have to give him a D. At least he could say though that he left the Warriors willingly rather than getting cut and playing in Italy though. However, again, if he was actually playing good, it's safe to say that he would still be with the Warriors or with another team after his rookie deal. Next, we have another top player who unfortunately flamed out in college, but this time in a worse degree than Nico Mannion. Top ranked player in South Carolina and 48th best player in the class of 2016, 7th Woods. 7th was known by the high school basketball crowd from day one of his freshman year, being a 14-year-old who was able to do 360 dunks and other crazy dunks in game while being a 6-foot guard. There are many videos you can find of him online doing crazy stuff in game or wild scoring performances, like his game against Dennis Smith Jr. and scoring 42 points in a game. But with this hype he was acclimating, he was able to pull scholarships for one of the best blue blood schools in college basketball history, North Carolina. But that is probably the height of his basketball career so far. Now, I cannot tell you what was the goal for him when it came to going to North Carolina, whether it was becoming a legend there or becoming a one-and-done player and going straight to the NBA. But if it was the latter rather than the former, then North Carolina was the worst place for him to go. Just like Jahvon, who went to Villanova, 7th came to a team that was contending for a championship and even won one in his first year in college. He could have easily went the Dennis Smith Jr. route and went to NC State, balled out there, and looked way better than a lot of people let on and get a lottery pick selection in that year's draft. But instead, he played 7 minutes a game for 2 straight seasons. Very rarely do people go to NC State and become a one and done nowadays though. But after that, he transferred to a school that wanted him originally in South Carolina in the SEC. But even then, he didn't really do much, only playing 19 minutes a game. And the same at Morgan State, his next destination, where he just ended his redshirt senior year again with not much play or production. Due to moves like that, he possibly messed himself up with an opportunity in the NBA, now being 23 years old, and due to that, I will have to give him a D ranking on this tier list. Hope the best for him in whatever his next career endeavors is, but crucial decisions like that affect your future for sure. Next, we move on to another top guard recruit in their class who fizzled out once he hit the college game. The number 6 player in the class of 2017 and IMG product, Trevon Duval. Now, to be able to go to IMG and dominate takes a lot of skill and confidence, and that's what Trevon had there, being their top player. Mostly known for his shifty dribble packages and athleticism, people thought that Trevon was a shoo-in to becoming an NBA level guard in the future. He basically had the whole blueprint to his advantage when it came to prestige. top 10 player in the class, went to a top high school that produced NCAA talent yearly, McDonald's All-American, and received many top offers college-wise. He even went to the top college out of all of them in the land, in Duke University, to play with other freshmen in Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter Jr., and Gary Trent Jr. And at Duke, that whole freshman class started the whole season alongside Trevon Duval. But Trevon, unfortunately, was the one who impressed the least, averaging 9 points and 5 assists a game on underwhelming shooting splits, as he watched his freshman teammates and even his senior teammate in Grayson Allen get drafted while he went undrafted. But he was able to get an opportunity to play in the G League and overseas. Even as of recently, he played in the G League for the Denver Nuggets affiliate, but still looks like he has a lot of improvement to do before he can sneak in onto a team and snag a two-way contract deal, or just anything involving the NBA by that matter. It only hurts that much more when a top recruit cannot live up to their potential, and due to that, I'll be giving him a D while he joins the rest of them that did the exact same. And lastly, we have another fan favorite, just like Tacko Fall, someone who dominated the high school ranks due to his height and skill at the center position. The 44th pick of the 2019 NBA draft, Bol Bol. Now, I'm sure everybody knows who Bol Bol is, son of late Manute Bol. Even if you don't know him, it's very hard not to if you watch a lot of basketball on YouTube. At 7'2" at Mater Dei and Finley Prep, he was constantly overpowering people with his height and wingspan, while at the same time being able to put the ball on the ground and dribble his way right to the basket for an easy dunk. And when you consider the novelty of being one of the tallest players in the high school ranks, or even college by that matter, it adds a lot more to your fan favorite side. But with his ranking as the 4th best player in the 2018 high school class, he got offers to big schools in Kentucky, Kansas, Auburn, Arizona, and more. But he went to Oregon, and considering his stature and how style-oriented the Ducks are, I can only imagine how it was the perfect mix. Plus, it would be a place where he can basically do whatever he wants when it came to being on the basketball court, unlike in other places where it'd be a whole lot harder to pull it off, and at the same time, it could ruin your draft stock due to that. But at Oregon, all it took was 9 games to convince everyone that Bol Bol would be dangerous in the NBA. In his best game against Texas Southern, he scored 32 points and grabbed 11 boards while going 4 of 6 from 3. But unfortunately, during that season where every game was considered a national event, he ended up getting a foot injury that sidelined him for the rest of the season, while at the same time dropping his draft stock from a lottery pick all the way down to the 44th pick to the Denver Nuggets, who a year ago did the exact same thing and drafted Michael Porter Jr., who had a lot of upside but sustained an injury that took him out for a whole college season. But unlike MPJ, he never received much of a chance in the NBA so far, with already 3 years of service in the league with nothing to show for it. Which made it worse though, even at his time with the Nuggets, they never even had a G League team up until this year, so he wasn't even able to develop anywhere. Nowadays, he was traded to Boston, then to Orlando, where he signed a 2-year deal. So at least he can get some minutes on a team, or at least be on their G League team, so we can finally see if that hype was definitely worth it. With that being said, I'm sure that it's safe to put him in the B ranking tier, since he's making a career in the NBA at a bare minimum. He just has to make the most out of this opportunity to play on a team like Orlando, who is trying to make the most out of any young talent that comes along on their team. In the land of viral high school mixtape players, it is always a very risky game. On one hand, you're receiving a huge platform that can put you in a higher place than someone who doesn't have it, like a 3-star player in McClung, or even showing off future household names like a Zion Williamson in his time in high school, or again, showing off the type of players who become fan favorites for their height and stature in Bol Bol and Tacko Fall. But at the same time, it leaves a lot of expectations for those players, especially for the ones on top who are ranked highly, who will still have a lot of attention in college to see how they turn out. Now, with that being said, it takes a lot of skill, luck, and connections to make it to the top, and sometimes even a bad decision can really mess it up for you in the future, depending on what you're trying to do in the future, really. We will see how this next generation of players will turn out, but the game is still the same forever. Will they exceed expectations or flame out into obscurity? But again, comment who you'd like to see in a potential part 2, and be sure to leave a like on this video for that part 2. But as always, I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned something new, as my vision for this channel is to inform and entertain. Check out my social medias for the inside life of Alvini and other channel news. Check out my Twitch where I stream weekly. I have to go through shit like this all the time. If this bitch died to being strangled by toilet paper, I am going to kill myself. There is no way you died to toilet paper.
This is it.
She died to toilet paper. paper. And lastly, if you want to talk to your boy, there is always my Discord. Links are in the description. But with all that out of the way, this is your boy, Alvini Linguine, saying peace.